everybody, and welcome to 12 Days of Gracefulness. I am your host, Grace. Hopefully, you know me already, but if you don't, welcome. Welcome to this grace journey. I'm so glad that you're here with me. I am here doing our 12 Days of Gracefulness as we do or started last year to end out a year and go into a new year. So, we're here with 12 different topics from last year. We have some different faces this year and some the same, but the topics are very unique this year. And they're kind of deep, but I think that they're appropriate for what is going on in our world today, our society today. So today's topic is growth in the journey. I'm not going to talk a lot about what that means to me because I want to invite my friend, my family to talk about it. And you guys know that for each of these days, I've been having friends, family, loved ones join me, people that I trust to actually be able to lead and to give us some sound wisdom. Not everyone can give you what you need. Some just talk. So I am bringing people who I actually trust to be able to help catapult us into a new year. So today I have the Michelle Small, and I say the that very specifically because there's only one of her. She is an author, life coach. She is mama. She is so many things. And I'm going to let her introduce herself. And at the end, she does have a book and some things she has going on. So make sure you stay tuned so you can follow her. But we're going to go ahead and bring in Michelle. She's going to talk about growth in the journey after telling us just a little bit about herself. So go ahead, take it away.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle. And yes, I'm all those things that Savannah mentioned. And I embrace actually every one of them. I am a life coach. I actually am just started calling myself a coach. Not I can do professional coaching, personal coaching, actually even spiritual coaching when you get lost in your way. So I love working with people and working with people working through what they're going through. So I think that's why I embrace this particular topic. Growth in the journey. Wow, that says everything right there. And I love the way Savannah placed the topic because in the journey, you must grow. If you are going, whatever you go through, it is there for you to grow. But what we find a lot in society is people don't take the time to match or to look at their growth. So at the end of the year, I have this thing that I do, and I get a big piece of white post-it paper and the wall, and it's called Celebrate the Wins. Mm-hmm. And what I do is I go through everything that has happened during the year, good or bad. So if it's great, I have to celebrate it because so often we'll move from one celebration to the next and we don't celebrate ourselves. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at what did I go through this year that wasn't so great, okay, but what did I learn from that experience? If you don't stop and look at what you learn, you will go from experience to experience and it can weigh you down. Mm-hmm. And while you're in the midst of it, you're not going to say, oh, I'm so glad they repossessed my car. Or some will if you had a really high car payment. Yeah. But it's like, what did I learn in that process? I had too much car. I had too much payment. My quality of life, I'm having to take, the bus or the MARTA, but I'm not stressing on how to pay the car, how to do the insurance. Next time I do it, I am going to learn, ask how much a car costs, not what my monthly payments are. Mm-hmm. So you have every experience, and you mentioned all my different hats. The interesting thing about it, each individual hat separately has a different journey. Mm-hmm. So you are always growing.
Always.
Always.
I think that is really important to start with because I think that we get so focused on kind of like an end place. Okay, once I get here, I have made it. But what you don't understand is that you never really make it. There's always a something else in which you have to grow. So I think of even thinking about like personal. I went from single, me doing what I do, growing in that, growing past childhood issues and daddy issues and all that stuff, to wife, having to grow in that. And that was a whole other growth. And then into motherhood, one child, and then two, and now we're, to three, into friend, growth, because learning how to be a good friend. Like there's all these different levels. And sometimes we just think it's all going to be like one thing and we're going to be fine once we reach this level, but there's continual growth. And I think that I'm one who, and I'll admit it, does not always celebrate the wins along the way. Like I
Right.
will look at the whole thing and like it'll be another year and I look back and I'm like, oh, I guess I did. I'm not responding the same way I used to. But it takes time for me to look back instead of just actually stopping and celebrating as it's happening. So that's good. You started that. I mean, I was like, let me write that down for me because I need to do better because maybe I'll, feel a little better if I do it that way.
And especially with someone, and I'm going to say like you, and someone like me, and those of us that are purpose is tied up into counseling, coaching, mentoring. Often we put our wins in when we see other people succeed.
Yeah.
And you don't take the time, and most of all of those professions, they do journaling. So
Yeah.
the other part, top of my paper, the journal is not just for it to be there so when you're dead and gone somebody will find it.
Right.
Go back to it. And I remember when I wrote this, I was like dying inside, and I got through that. And this is how I got through it. And it's not so much to teach someone, it's your
It's for
win.
you. Yeah.
It's for you. And it's, believe it or not, it's very difficult sometimes for people alone to look at who they are, what they've accomplished, and celebrate themselves. That is so important. That's growth in the journey. And there was something you said, you are, okay, you're Savannah, you're an author, and you're a coach, and you're an instructor, then your wife, and then your mother, and then you're getting ready, not so much that it's three, but now you're going to be a mother to a boy. So all of those are separate journeys
Separate
that
ones
you will be growing in.
at the
And
same
that
time.
at the same time,
Yeah.
at the same time. So you better sit down and look at, your life. And I was like, wow, I did that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned my book, and Fallon told me she stole your book. But it was interesting that she's like, I didn't know you wrote that. And I'm like, oh yeah. And sometimes I forget I wrote a book,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
because that was something that you did a while ago. And it's like, that's a win.
Yeah.
People are still gaining something from what I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win, and when the growth is not always while you're in the journey. The growth is when you got to the end, got out of a particular thing, or got to a certain step, because you're never going to get out of motherhood.
Right.
But you get to a certain step and you look back and you're like, this and this happened, and this is how I survived it.
Mm-hmm.
That was a win. When you can say that, that is now a step of your growth.
Oh yeah.
If you can't look back at anything that you've been through, good or bad, and say, that was good for me in some shape or form, then I can't really say you've grown.
Yeah.
I listen and I sit and I hear many people in the public eye and people that are growing, and I listen to the words they say, and I can say, and they're like, this situation was da 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 da. But they never stop to say, and this is what I grew from. And that person is still healing in
Mm-hmm.
that place. And they really haven't grown from that place. You can just sit and listen to the conversation. So for those of us that are coaches and counselors, that's a lot of things we do. We'll hear that and we say, oh, okay.
You're still
And then
processing.
we will tap into that.
Yep.
Right. And say, let's stay right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because every experience, if you're not growing, you're actually stepping backwards. Mm-hmm. It's I hate the word, but it is a form of retardation. If I'm 55 years old and I'm still complaining about that first car that got repossessed, especially when I might have a Mercedes and, a Porsche in the driveway. Okay, why are you still there?
Why are you still there?
You didn't grow. Okay, let's step back. What did you learn? Mm-hmm. Well, I did learn that how to manage my money better. Okay, that's why you're able to afford Mercedes now. Oh, yeah, I did grow. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it takes people pointing those things out to you. And if you really want to hear the truth, ask a child, because they will tell you.
Yes, they will.
Yes, they will tell you the truth.
Oh, yes.
And you can't get mad at them because they ask, but they will tell the truth.
Mm-hmm. It is. I laugh because I think about it. I know my daughters get me right together. I'm like, oh God, like I'm glad that mommy is okay at a good mental space, but my God,
when they turn and not paying attention, well, did you pray about it?
Kids will do it. They absolutely will. So if you don't have some kids around, go find some and they'll tell you what you need to know.
In children's church, ask a question. You'll get your whole life together. You
want to grow? Ready.
You will grow. Just be ready. Absolutely.
And I keep chuckling because Michelle, she knows me by my government name. So y'all who are hearing it, just ignore. Y'all know me by Grace.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's just funny. And they know I'm very transparent. So you guys know I write under a pseudonym. But I am all of these things, all these different aspects we're talking about, all of this growth, all of it. All right. So as you were talking about how we are less likely to see our own growth. And that is so big, and it's a problem, when it comes down to it. I know for me, I absolutely look at someone else's triumphs and someone else's stuff as, oh yeah, that was great, and I had a part in that. But then you asked me to look at my stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah. Like you were talking about your book. Somebody brought that up to me yesterday. They were like, oh yeah, in your book, your journaling. And I was like, oh yeah, I did do that. And I could use that for this. And they were like,
how many books you read? 3 books. Oh yeah,
right. Yeah. And they were like, so don't you have like 2 more? And they were just talking my stuff up, and I'm sitting there like, this is horrible because I should be the one that's doing this. So we have to definitely get better at acknowledging our own stuff, because I think that helps us to be better just overall, helping us to be whole, healthy, everything we need to be, especially for those who are in those kind of helping professions. And even if you're not in that profession, if you have a heart to encourage and motivate and kind of lift up others, you want to definitely lift yourself up. Don't forget about you. Lifting everybody else, and you sitting there needing the lifting too. So we have to I know I do, but I'm sure there's others who are listening who just have to do a better job of acknowledging the things we've done, the growth, and acknowledging it so that as we go forward, we can continue to harp on those things, because life is rough sometimes. It's very easy to see all the other stuff that we didn't do. Like we're coming to the end of the year. I could just list it. All the stuff I didn't do that I should have done, the things I said I was going to do. But then you asked me to talk about the things that went right and the things that I actually did. And I'm like, wait, let me stop and think about it. And that's horrible. It's such a backwards thing here.
And you journal it. You have it written down somewhere. So I don't have to go through a whole year. I broken mine down in months, by the months. What did you accomplish? Celebrate your win right there. And one thing you mentioned, those of us that so often, and you'll hear this in the church, you give to people that which you want for yourself. Mm-hmm. And we say that as if that is the end all of it. But the challenge is you have to have a place If it's not you, if it's that one friend, you have to
Mm-hmm.
have a place where you're poured back into. Because
Absolutely.
if you're always pouring out, a lot of people, they'll say you can't drink from an empty cup or you can't whatever and da da da. But I always use the analogy of the Dead Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Is the reason it's dead is because it gives out. It does not have a
It
place
doesn't
where
have
it's
a place
poured
to.
into.
Okay. Yep.
So then you actually, there's not going to be anything in the Dead Sea that will grow because all it does is
Just
give
pour
out.
out. Mm-hmm.
All it does is pour out.
That's
And
good.
so for those of us that are the encourager, we have to um, have that place where it's poured into. Um, I see a lot, and it's true. I see a lot of T-shirts say, "I have God and a therapist," but the thing we forget is God, who is a spirit. So we are His hands.
Yeah.
So you have God in the therapist. You have your therapist. Where's the God? And not, I mean, the physical, and it's in each
The
other.
physical manifestation of him
It's
here.
in each other.
Mm,
Absolutely. So
absolutely.
the God in me has to hug you. My
Yeah.
God in me tell you, I love those earrings. The God in me has to pour into you. Continue doing this 12 days. When you don't feel like, oh, is anyone listening? If you're saving one and you're helping one,
Mm-hmm.
continue.
Yeah.
You find God at the end of we are His arms. So just make sure part of growth in the third journey is also finding that place or that person or that which pours back into you. I know a
Absolutely.
lot of people say, self-care, I'm going to get my nails done. That's not, on one hand, that's not a person pouring. But on the other hand, think about it. Somebody's going to take your hand
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to hold for at least 1
That
hour.
contact.
You're having contact.
Yes.
We are human beings that need contact. That's so important. For me, I had my granddaughter here. She had this really fuzzy clothes on, and I told her she was my snuggly. So I got all my snuggly love on and hugged and everything. And then it was like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Erica, come get the baby. Why was that important? Because
You needed
physical
that.
contact, I've learned in my journey, I need to have that. And so I set up places for me for that to come into me. Okay, so now when I carry all these hats and I go through all the trials, I am now able to grow because I've been replenished
Mm-hmm.
in human contact.
And human
That's
contact.
yeah, in human contact. And growth in the journey for me is also, I don't need anybody around all the time. I
Mm.
but knowing have I must have that contact, and I must have a place where I celebrate myself. In each of those,
In each of them.
celebrate yourself as a woman, celebrating yourself as a wife, as a mother of a boy. Trust me, it's a whole nother. You get
Oh, I'm hearing.
it's a whole. You have to have that place. I didn't kill anybody today. I'm so happy.
My God.
Thank you, Lord. You know,
That one right there. Whew.
right.
Yes.
Celebrate the win. My house stayed clean for a whole day, or a good half a day,
I
or
have to.
you know, good half a day.
Or an hour.
Celebrate, and that's how you're growing
Yeah.
because what you're actually doing is showing gratitude for what you have. Then you will start noticing, I really have grown in this particular spot.
And now that you're saying it, I'm like, okay, I guess I do celebrate somewhat along the way. It's not an active kind of like I'm stopping and writing it down, but I will acknowledge, like you were saying, the house was clean actually for half of the day today. That's the stuff I'm like, okay, I did that.
Right,
And that's
right.
a big deal, especially as moms. If any moms, that's a big deal if your house stays clean at least for half the day. Or
And
I
for
got
those
up and
that look
actually
out, I'll say
cooked.
this for like you are a whole wife, you're a whole mom, with two little girls. And those that don't know, you don't realize that below the waist, you got a little boy that's about to pop out. You have whole responsibility of some very active, needy friends.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot going on as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that is a win. I mean, it's like we're laughing about it, but there are some mothers that are like, they may
They
just
can't
have
see it.
fun.
Yeah.
And how am I start celebrating yourself and just doing it with you? If it's just you and your child, do it together.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrate.
I
That
love
is
that.
growth in the journey for me.
So I mean and I think that's applicable. Because there's a lot of people out there who are just looking like for this big, huge celebrate, but you getting up sometimes is a celebration. Like if you're dealing with some stuff and depression and all of that, you even deciding to get up out the bed is a
Is
celebration. I've been
right,
there. Like I've dealt with depression and to get up is hard because you
right,
really just want to lay there and just let the day go and do what it's gonna do. People can do what they're gonna do, and you just gonna
right,
lay in the bed. So you getting up is a win,
right,
and you just keep building on that. So
right.
I get it, and I think it's important too. And I was talking to someone else about this, about having that person or somebody to pour back into you. Because I was I don't remember who I was talking to, but there were times when I would look through my phone, like, I give out, I
Right,
encourage,
right.
and I would look through my phone and be like, like, who can I really reach out to who's going to really pour back to me and not it turn into me end up pouring into you? Because there's times I've done that. I've called or I'll text, and say something, and then somehow it ends up flipping, and I'm giving you what I was trying to get. So knowing that safe place, that safe person, and acknowledging that human touch and human like contact is important.
Yes.
Because I was one for a while who was like, oh, I'm good. Me and God, we, we're gonna do this thing.
Mhm.
But like you said, we have to be the hands. Like God, He can come and He can envelop me in His presence. He can do all that. I believe that. But sometimes you just need a hug.
Right,
Like sometimes you just need somebody to hold you, not say nothing, just give me a hug.
right, 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 right. Absolutely.
So, and I allow that now. I
Yeah,
didn't. There was
good.
a time where I was like,
No, I'm good. I think
don't
I know. Yeah.
don't
Was that
touch
last
me.
week? No, just kidding.
It wasn't that close, but it wasn't long ago that I really was like, don't touch me. I'm okay. But that's because of again childhood stuff, all that stuff we haven't really dealt with. Just but right now it's because I'm pregnant. So that's a
Right,
whole different thing. Right now
right.
I'm just like, I
Sometimes.
love you,
Yeah.
but because my stomach is a magnet, and I
Right,
don't like that. Like you're too
right,
close. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But we really have to be okay with acknowledging that it's not a bad thing to crave human contact.
right.
Um, and that's growth for me. I was like, it's
Yes,
not a bad thing to want a hug because I
right.
really was like, I'm good. I don't need a hug.
Mhm.
Knowing with everything in me, I really just wanted somebody to hold me. So,
Right. Absolutely.
so if we're talking to people who may have been or may still are currently like me, who are just like, I'm good, right where I am. I'm good. I don't really need to grow. I'm okay. Like we're at a good place. Nobody can really tell me that anything needs to be different because they're not growing, obviously. What can we say to them who are kind of stagnant and need to grow so that they can really become all that they are becoming? Because it's like I said, it's a process. So you're going to keep becoming. But what can we say to those who are kind of stuck?
I, if someone comes to you and they're telling you what's going on, but you know what, really, I'm okay, da 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 da. They want you to do something. And sometimes it's not saying something, it's doing something.
Mm-hmm.
If because right then some things aren't going to get through to people. Um, so at that point, that's when you get the hug,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, for me, what they get is, oh, okay. And I stop talking. And some of
Mm-hmm.
that's my t-shirt, everyone out there having it. But it's like, I'm not agreeing with you, but I'm going to give you that place to be there. But guess what? I still love you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you and I'm here for you. I pray for you and I'm here for you. And it's like, by the way, what's your address? I'm going to put something in the mail, maybe a Christmas card.
Mm-hmm.
People right now, everything is online, text, da 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 da. Da. But when you get that Christmas
An
card in
actual
the,
card. Yeah.
I have two friends that will send Christmas cards. And if they put something in it, they have to tell me they sent it because I check my mail maybe once every 2 weeks. And they know that. So they'll say, "Are you check it every once 2 weeks? Go get your, check your mail." And I keep the cards because it's the little things that people do for you that matters. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have somebody like that going, don't try to do the big thing. Don't try to slap in the head, lay them out. It's the
Mm-hmm.
little things.
The little,
I
yep.
know you like payday candy bars. I got this for you. I was thinking about you. Oh my gosh, you were thinking about me. I was on somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because the biggest thing you hear when people get really, don't nobody care. I don't
Yeah.
have anybody. Nobody's thinking about me. Yeah, I was. I was thinking about you. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, I think that's the biggest gift we can give people right now. You were on my mind. Um, Text are nice, but if it's somebody that you really, really, really just been struggling, call them on the phone. I know this generation
We
likes
don't like to
text.
talk. Yeah.
We don't like to talk.
Yeah.
But if somebody's really on your mind, call them because it could be that exact moment that saves their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that for me, because I'll tell anyone, you could text me. Because generally I'm doing something. And so, for you to call me, it's like, but I have learned in some instances and with some people, that it's more beneficial for me to call. And it may
Mm-hmm.
be the quickest call. It may be I just wanted to call you and tell you I love you. I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about you. Sometimes that goes, they might break down or something. It has. I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, I didn't call for all that, but all right, I love you. But
And then get
some
off the phone real quick. Let them have their moment.
yeah, but
Yeah.
sometimes it really, I know for me, it does my heart good when somebody does call and say, I was just thinking about you. Because I know I can get in my head sometimes that I'm just out here throwing all this encouragement out and ain't nobody thinking about me,
Right.
And so for somebody to make that step is big. And I think, especially with what's going on in our world and suicide rates and all the different stuff that's happening right now, for someone to make an extra step is crucial. It's crucial because you never
Right.
know what that's going to do. It could
Right.
be that, like she said, that moment. Um,
Right.
so I want to, because I don't want to get off on that because that's a whole different topic, and I'm not
Right.
getting emotional today. Okay,
Okay.
so
Great. Okay.
talking about, I'm
Oh,
not.
oh,
No,
okay.
I know. I'm like I'm just such a crybaby in this season, but as far as us growing, because I know that we are dealing with these different journeys, we're dealing with these different processes at the same time. um how do we reconcile I guess all of these growth cycles? Like it can feel like you're going almost insane sometimes. It's like on one hand this is happening and then I have this happening here, and how do I bring all this to a place where it doesn't feel like it's too much? Because it can feel overwhelming. It's like I'm supposed to go here and I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be, why can't I just be one thing? So how do we reconcile that?
Um, one, I don't want to say you don't, but something you said was really important. And somebody asked me pretty much the same question. I'm supposed to be doing this, and I know as a wife, I got to be doing this. I'm supposed to be doing this. As a mom, I'm supposed to be doing this. How do I bring it all together? And the thing that I found most when we get overwhelmed is that we're really dealing with self-imposed expectations.
Mm,
What I think everybody thinks I should be doing.
mm-hmm. That.
So the word, as soon as you say I should, no, you could or you could not. But when you say I should be doing, that's almost a form of I'm judging myself for something I didn't do. Either you're going to do it or you're not. I
Mm-hmm.
should be a better wife. No. Who said you should be better? Well, like cooking dinner at least once a week. Okay, you could cook dinner once a week. Did you ask your spouse if he wants to eat at a table once a week?
Yeah.
Well, no, because what I saw my mama do. No, self-imposed expectation. My children, I really should have them do that. Okay, who said you can or you
Mm-hmm.
cannot? You will or you won't. But shoulds put us in. We put a should puts us in a box of
Your own
our building
box. Mm-hmm.
of our building.
That's
And then we
good.
want other people for putting us in the box. No, it's a box of our building. So part of the growth becomes they didn't say I should do this. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't say I should be this as a wife. They didn't say I should be this as a mother. My children didn't say this I should be as a mom. These are my self imposed expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to redefine what is it you will and will not do.
Mm-hmm.
It's real simple because most of us, that's what we're living in. What and it's like it could, even if it's somebody else that says, okay, I think you should take, not wear the cap today. And it's like, okay, well,
That's
I
what
know what
you think.
that's what you think, and that will work for you.
Yeah.
But that is not my expectation for me at this particular hour.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people will be like, oh my gosh, really? I should take it off? Do I look funny? Because I've now taken with someone else's statement and
And
put
taking
it,
it on.
taking it on.
Mm-hmm.
But when you grow, because you grow, it's like,
Okay.
well, you can give me the $200 to get, African braids, and I will do that for you to make you happy. Here's the $200. Okay, where now the growth in that is I no longer am reacting to what somebody says I should look like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer reacting to what somebody else says I should be doing with my children. I'm no longer reacting what people say I'm doing as a wife.
Mm-hmm.
That is growth.
Oh,
And
that's
then you
growth.
stop and say, wow, I didn't cut them off. I didn't have to bless them out. I didn't have to, tell my child, come over here, don't go over there no more. I didn't have to do any of that. I I made my statement and I moved on in love. Thank you, Jesus. And you're like, oh my, I really grew on that one. Then you'll remember to give yourself a pat on the back. Oh my gosh, look what happened. But a lot of that is,
Oof.
yeah,
And that's not easy. Like, I mean, let me tell you, that is not, but when you realize that growth, my God, it's something about it. Like even something so simple, you're talking about my cat. There was a day when somebody would say something to me and I'd be like, oh, well, let me go, figure out what else to do. But
right,
today it's just kind of like, okay. And exactly
right.
what you're gonna pay for, all right then. So I'm going about my business with my
Yeah,
cat
you're
because
going about yours. Absolutely.
and not use any other words. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say and I'm gonna keep walking. So even something so simple, I know we talk broad sometimes, but even so simple is I didn't say to you what I thought because sometimes the thoughts come out, as opposed to staying
Right.
in our head. So that's simple, but it's big,
Yeah.
especially for those of us who are used to just kind of shooting off and saying whatever we want to say and dealing with the consequences later.
Right.
You
And now the thing is, you said before all the different areas of growth. So you handle that growth in the area of how you looked as a woman.
Of me,
But maybe
yes.
you might still be struggling with doing certain things as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So the growth across the board is not going to be the
Oh yeah,
same.
it's continual. Yeah,
It's continual growing in the different areas. And
absolutely.
if we don't take a notice of that, that's when we're like, okay, I messed up with my hat. And then all the way across the board, you're looking at every part of my life as a failure. No, it's not. No, it's not.
And that's a spiral because once you
It
start
is.
that, you literally just everything is wrong. And
Everything is
I've
wrong.
been at that place. Like one thing is not where it should be. So everything is messed up. I
Yes.
remember, and Aaron, my husband, he'll I'm sure he will coincide if I ever said this, but there's been times where maybe I don't feel like I look a certain way, like I want to, and I'm dealing with my own stuff.
Mhm.
And so I'll say, well, I don't think my husband's attracted to me. And I guess I'm not being a good wife. And it just goes, and then I'm not being the best mom, they're not getting this. I'm not, and it just keeps going.
And then
And
here's the thing. And then he'll walk in the room and say, baby, you look good today. And then
yeah,
walk out and you're like, I went to the pits
all the
for him
way
all the way. I had a whole conversation in my head,
with
in
myself.
my own head with myself, based on an erroneous assumption.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, I see that. I see now. I see
But
now.
even
And that's
acknowledging that
growth.
is growth. Acknowledging
Absolutely.
the fact that I allow myself to spiral off of nothing, thin air, whole
Right,
theory that I
right,
created.
right.
Acknowledging that and being able to say, okay, the next time that a thought comes up, I'm going to control how I allow it to manifest. So that is
Absolutely.
growth. And then actually doing
Growth.
it.
That is growth.
Mhm.
And everybody's journey is different. So just because I've grown in the hair journey, I can't inflict on you if you haven't.
Right.
That is, it's like everybody's journey is different.
Mhm.
And within each individuals, we have so many different journeys.
And we have to be comfortable with the fact that I think everybody is growing in a different way. Because if I expect you to be the same as me, then I give you grace so far as I'm concerned, but I'm not giving you the grace that you
Right,
need.
right,
So if you need a little more grace maybe in this area, then I need to be aware enough to be able to give you that. So when we
right.
start treating everybody the same, like, oh, well, you should know this by now, and you should be doing, that's when people shut down.
Mm-hmm.
That's when people, start getting within themselves because I have these people around me who I thought, were supposed to be helping me, and they are essentially putting me down.
Mm-hmm.
So where do I turn and what do I do? And then it becomes a whole different situation because we didn't extend the grace to them that we were given at some point.
Right,
Somebody
right,
gave us
right,
grace to grow in our
right,
process.
right.
But we
Grace
forget that.
growth.
We forget it.
Yeah,
And we try to make everybody else perfect while we're still processing.
absolutely.
So this growth thing, it's so much to it. Because it's so intricate, it's so many layers. It's just everything is happening all at the same time.
And people have to remember you're always growing.
Always.
It's like you're always growing. If you can't learn something, then if you tell me, oh, I've already grown through that, you done growing? Yeah. So what flowers should I send to your funeral? Because
Right.
we're going to continue growing until we die. You stop
Yeah.
growing when you die.
When you
You are
die.
always growing. You are always learning. And you've never hit the pinnacle of anything.
Mm-hmm.
You continue to grow. That's why you have to stop and look at, each individual step, not every day, but, have those markers for you're like, wow, I did get through that. It's not even the little things, especially the little things.
Mm-hmm.
The big things, I won Academy Award. Woo, that was it.
That's great.
That's great.
But
But it's the little
what
things,
did it
like
take to
you
get
said.
there?
I got up out of the bed and I knew what I was facing,
Mm-hmm.
but I got through it. It's in the little things, or we say in the church, it's the little foxes that
Yeah.
tear up that vineyard. Yes, yes, yes. So
And I think that's where I focus a lot on the little things. Because I think we can get really, holistic and big and, but every day I think people are struggling with those small things, what we
it
call
is
small things. People are struggling to accept what they look like in the mirror. Like, they're struggling to feel worthy. They look in the mirror and they see a whole lot of other stuff. And they could be having people telling them all day long, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, you're this and you're that. But to them, that's not what it looks like. So for them to get up and put on clothes and actually leave the house, that was life, you
right.
know? And we just have to be a little more aware that it's the small things that really matter. The big things matter in the end. Like I would love to win an award into,
Mhm.
international, all
Right.
that stuff. And it's going to happen. But at the same time, I think that I will always look at the little girl, who grew up
Mhm.
and dealt with the foster care and the abuse and all the other stuff, and was able to actually get up and just face the day. I'll
Right.
always come back to that because that is a big thing.
Right.
It's small, but it's big. Because
Yes.
me not being able to get up would have meant that I couldn't be anything else.
Right.
So it starts somewhere. And I want
Absolutely.
us to get back to that. To,
Right.
okay, I did this today. Maybe I didn't accomplish my whole list today,
Mhm.
but hey, I got up and I actually opened the computer. Maybe I didn't
Right.
do everything I should have did, but I opened the computer. I at least started to check the little things
It's
because
the
that
little.
is growth. It's still
Ab-
growth. And it may not be on a level that you think everybody expects it to be. A lot of us are so focused on everybody else's expectations for us and how we should be and where we should be. And because they'll tell you, people have no problem telling you where they think you should
Right.
be, what you should be doing.
Right.
Um, but we have to be okay with setting our own expectations and it not
Absolutely.
being unrealistic.
Right.
Because if we tell ourselves, all right, by next week, I need to be traveling the world.
Right.
Okay. And that's because of what they said. You're supposed to
Correct.
be over there in Africa,
Correct.
but
Correct.
we're not doing that today. Then we set ourselves up for this continual spiral. It's like, oh
Right.
God, woe is me. I didn't do this, and I'm horrible, and nobody's gonna listen to me. And it just goes. And I say that, and I'm so like y'all know I'm transparent because I'm definitely one of those. Like I've had people tell me things like you should be doing this and you should be that. And I've taken on those things, and when it doesn't look as if it's happening like
Mhm.
it should, I had the tendency, and I say had because I've gotten to a growth place of really looking down on me and saying, well, I guess I'm not everything they said I was. I guess I'm, you know, but
Right.
I had to grow to a point where I'm still all those things, but it's happening on my space, my process, my growth cycle, you
I
know?
have to, when I hear the word should, not only coming from me, but from someone else, it's almost like a bell on the gong show.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something good, well, you know what? You should, like when I just told you what you
Yeah,
should do.
yeah,
And then what I do if I hear that is like, well, how would that work? Well, I don't know. You could figure it out. I know that was their vision,
yeah,
and they put it on me because if we allow all the things people say we should do, we will do nothing that God
nothing.
designed us to do. And we will because they see one aspect of me and they think I can do all this, but God gave me this to do.
Yeah.
So be careful when you hear a should. No, I could,
Mm-hmm.
I will, or I won't, but I don't live by shoulds anymore. And that
Exactly.
for me was a big growth. As
That's
soon
a
as
good
I
one.
hear it, it's a telltale sign for me. No, is this something that I really could do? Is it something I'm designed to do that God intended for me to do? Or was this really their vision?
Mm-hmm. So being able to determine,
So,
is it
right,
for me or is it something they're trying to put on me?
right. Is it even
Um,
in line with my vision statement for me? Nowhere is that on there. Oh, I just saw you. Okay, thank you.
okay. Now
Because should will get you.
there are some who have said things to me, and I'll like sometimes I will follow up and like, okay, well, explain to me how you see this, because okay.
Right,
And if they're able to give me kind of like explicit, this, then I'm more likely to say, okay, well, I could see that happening. But if it's
right,
just one of those broad, oh yeah, you're gonna go do this. Okay, we're gonna put this on the shelf, and I'm gonna keep doing
right,
the things daily that I know I should be
right,
doing right now for
right,
me.
right,
And we'll come back to that because
right,
me putting all your expectations on me has gotten me nowhere.
right. And I'm not even
So
doing the one thing I know I'm
you
called to do,
know, yeah.
that you know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, should sound like a gong bell. Gong. Oh, okay.
Because I believe, and this is my belief, that there is something that we all know is a part of who we are. There is
Mm-hmm.
just something that you know is a part of who you are. If you're an encourager, you know that. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a giver, you know that. If you are a teacher, you know that. Like there's just
Right.
something about you, and it just no matter I know no matter what I do, it always comes back to me being the same way.
Right.
So no matter how it comes out, because depending on the arena, it comes out different, but it's still the same thing.
Right.
Um, so all of us know that place, that space, who we are, at least on an intrinsic level. But we have to be okay with sticking in that place and like staying on that, and then dealing with all the other stuff as it comes. Because it'll all come together. If you're meant to go do something, it'll come together in time and as you work, because you definitely have to work. I'm not telling anybody just sit and be like, oh, it's my purpose and it's going to happen and I don't have to do anything. No,
No.
because we're still the hands. But
Right.
you just have to do it in your time and without those set expectations from everybody else.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
that's a growth thing too. It comes back to it because some of us can't or haven't been able to function without others' expectations. That's how we've
Right.
grown.
Right.
They've set this is who you're going to be. They've set what you're going to do. And I
Right.
know for me, like as a parent, that's one thing I've had to be very intentional. So I'm like, I know there's things I think you should do, and there's stuff I know you should do, but you are a whole human being, whole different person. So I have to treat you a certain way to allow
Right.
you to grow. And it's the
Right.
same way just with us as grown folk, allowing people to walk in their process.
Right.
So it's definitely, when I tell you parenthood is a whole different beast, that's like I've learned a lot about me and everybody else just through being a parent. But this,
Yes.
I think that one thing I wanted to uh, continue reminding us of as we end this year. Um, Again, there's things that many of us may not have accomplished that we set out to do. Some put on us by others, some things that we really should have done. I know I have some things for me, and it's not like a self-imposed like prison. It's just I know these are things that I should have accomplished, but because of my slowness or whatever else I had going on, I didn't do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I want us to realize that even in that, we're still growing. Like
Mm-hmm.
to be able to acknowledge, okay, I was a little slow this year
Mm-hmm.
because that's a lesson. All right, as I go into next year, I can't do that. I can't procrastinate on this. When it comes up, I need to go ahead and just do it.
Right.
Because I am the worst. Like if I'll put it on there and I'm gonna do it, the day passed. Oh, okay, I'll get to it tomorrow. Wait, I'll get to it today. And it just keeps happening. And then you look up and oh, we're about to end the year. My
Right.
bad. And for me, that's
And
growth
then
because
take a look at it and really dissect it. Did it
mhm,
get on your list because it was a should or a must?
exactly. Now, all these things I
Okay.
was supposed to do are a must. For those who have some of those should,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just me, and that was my personal stuff going on this year. And it happens. I mean, life happens. Life is not linear. It's very messy sometimes, and so it just caused me to kind of get off. But what I can't do, um, in this is get caught up on, oh, what was me? I didn't do. Now
Right.
it's okay. Well, I learned I can't do this next year. If I do it like this, I'm gonna be in the same place at the end of next year.
Right.
So now I have to say, okay, when this happens, this is what I have to do. So set a
Right.
plan in place and make it happen. So for those who might be a little down, I know we get down sometimes at the end of the year for all the things we didn't accomplish. I still want you to understand that this is part of your growth process. This is all a part of it. And it doesn't feel good, but it's all a part.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do we get past that? Like if there's those who are a little feeling a little down about what hasn't been accomplished and not so much looking forward to 2024. I know a lot of people are like, yay, next year. But there are some who are just not so much looking forward to it. What do we say to them?
Well, I can tell you're excited because you went to 2024 and I think it's 2020.
23. My God. I'm already in 20. That
You
tells you where
already
I
you
am.
have filled out your whole year.
My God. It's not gonna probably go
Right.
anything quite like that. Whole new baby and all this stuff. We'll see. But
Right.
y'all do see, that's pregnancy brain for you. I'm telling you, because I'm already
Don't
in
blame it on that
2024.
baby. Don't blame it on that baby. You know, each person, just like the journey, um, we have to measure our, our own individual growth. Those that have journaled, then I would say go back and look at it and see what expectation did you put on yourself that really didn't benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are watching this, then there's a whole lot of positive things that are going on in your life. You're able to see, able to hear. You still have your electricity on,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
you have, you're able to communicate. You have your senses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you got to start being grateful for what you have. Like I said, I have my grandbaby here. I decorate my house, everything, but I live alone. And bottom line is, I don't have Christmas gifts under the tree. I don't have a lot of things that would be considered festive, but I make my home festive because
Mm-hmm.
I have my memories, and I don't dwell on the memories that are going to make me sad. I dwell on the ones
Yeah.
that make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And even the ones that make me happy, many of them involving my mom, my grandmother, um, they're gone home to be with the Lord. But there are things in my home that I have, like flowers over there. They were my mom's, and I celebrate in the midst of where I am now. In the midst of where I am now, I have to look forward to it. Now, the thing about getting out the bed, it's real. One of the things that I'm big on, I don't really believe in TVs
Mm-hmm.
in the bedroom. I have the smallest TV in my bedroom, so that's just for the news. But I place things around me that I can't stay in that
Mm-hmm.
place.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get up. Even if I have to lay out on the couch, I got out of that bed. You
Mm-hmm.
have to will yourself while you're going through. And then at this particular time of the year, and I'm not sure why we get so tripped up over that 31st of moving the next year. Everything is fresh. Fresh begins today,
Today.
Lou.
Yep.
Fresh begins today. Like I should have lost, these last 25 pounds for the whole of 2022. So encourage myself. I just watched Lizzo videos. And guess what? I'm now feeling beautiful. You have to put
Shout out Lizzo. Yes.
Lizzo. But you have to, that place that you can get down in. And so you have to. It's when you're growing, certain things you have to eat.
Mm-hmm.
You have to eat them. You don't like them, but you have to eat
Yeah.
so you can continue on your journey.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to celebrate the holidays. I have to have the inspirational videos because I know I'm going this particular part of my journey. Sometimes it can get rough.
Oh
So
yeah.
I plan ahead of time. So, it's like, no, I'm not planning to be depressed. No, but I know during certain things, my thing is not the holiday, it's usually around birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pre-plan, this is what I'm going to do.
You know your
That is
triggers.
growth. You know your triggers. You know your triggers. That's so important. And it's like, I am growing. I don't, I am growing. And I say this all the time. Certain things, like when we do affirmations, a lot of time people will read affirmations. And I'm a big thing. You have to speak it. If you only have one affirmation, because some people will give you a list at 25 lines, I'm too tired. But whatever that one affirmation is,
Yeah.
you have to speak it out loud so your soul can hear it because your soul heard you say, I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good spouse. I'm too fat. I'm this, I'm that. And to hear the affirmation, you have to counteract it. So speak, I am well.
Yes.
I am well. I am loved. I do have one good friend. It's the
Mm.
guy at the QT. When he sees me come in, he smiles. I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, whatever it is, but say it
Yes.
out loud at least once a day so your soul can hear your voice speaking it,
Absolutely.
not somebody else's. We can sit and listen to everybody else.
We
People are
can.
listening to this, but at the end, you have to say, I am well, not I will be well.
I
Hmm.
am.
I am well.
Yes.
And just let your soul hear it. I am well. I am loved. I am love. Okay, I'm good. I am love. How do I love today? I believe when I pour out, it's going to pour into me and I'm going to receive it. So when somebody tells me I'm beautiful today, don't say, oh, this old thing or oh, old cap. Thank you.
Mhm.
I am loved.
You're
You're
jumping
deserving.
into my tidbit. I
I'm
love it.
sorry. But yeah, speak it to your own soul can hear it.
And that's so important. Because I'm a huge believer in affirmations. I mean, those who've
Mhm.
been with me for a while, you know that. But I remember being that one who someone would say, "Oh, you look gorgeous today." And I was well, I just got this, but when I started saying these things to myself that even at first I didn't even really believe, because
Mhm.
sometimes you're saying stuff
Right,
and you don't really, you're
right,
just
right,
saying it because you know you should say it.
right,
um but once you perpetuate it and you keep, it gets in your spirit, like it starts,
right.
and you build this confidence in not necessarily just your beauty and all that, but in who you are, what you believe, what you accept. And these are
Absolutely.
all things that we need to do
Right.
just for us.
And those are the words, the affirmation that we are hearing is what's feeding our soul. That
Absolutely.
growth.
What you
We want
hear and
our
what
soul
you
to
take in
grow.
is what feeds you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The, absolutely. So for the journey, you have to be nourished. You need the water flowing in and out, and you have to have the food.
Hmm.
And words, the biggest lie was sticks and stones might break my bones. Words will never hurt me.
That
No, word, the
words
world
hurt.
was built by words. God created the world by
Yeah.
words. So we know how powerful it is. For the journey, remember whatever your affirmation is. It could be something big and grand, it could be from the Bible. I am strong. I am worthy. I am needed. Just saying that, brush your teeth, put it on the, post it on the mirror and say it in the morning. You look in the mirror and no makeup on, that I am beautiful may not work, but I am strong.
Yeah.
I have a heart to give. I have a heart to love. Those affirmations, that is growing for your journey.
Absolutely. So this is a topic that could go on probably indefinitely. There's so much more to say about it. I know in the mental health field, we could have a field day
Yeah.
with this, because it's just so, again, so many layers. People are dealing with so many different things at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. And so you almost have to like peel away each layer sometimes to kind of get to the inside. But I did want to make sure as we ended this year, and it's not even the end of the year yet, but as we're ending, that we begin this process, that we don't say, okay, when January 1st comes, it's going to flip a switch and everything
Right,
is going to be different, because it's not.
right,
I can tell you
right,
that already. If that is
right,
what you're thinking, I'm going to get to January 1st and everything is going to be exactly as I said. No, you're kidding yourself, because you didn't take that time to start it. You know,
right,
all these New Year's resolutions, I'm just, every time I hear resolution, I'm like, all right, but what are you doing today?
right.
To do something. Like, as a trainer, I'm also a fitness instructor, and I'll have clients who will say, okay, so next year I'm going to do this. I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to lose this
Mm-hmm.
many pounds. And I'm sitting there like, okay, that's great. But what are you eating today?
Today,
Did
right,
you drink water today? Did you, we start talking about that and they're like, well, no, I'm going to get it together. I'm giving myself, okay, so your mindset is not there. So I can tell you when January 1st gets here, it's not going to be easy for you to just flip that switch
right,
because you have to start today. And it's that
yeah,
same thing as we're talking about growth, starting the process today, the small things, acknowledging, okay, I did this today. Or
right.
I always have a heart for those this time of year who are grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're just dealing with a whole lot. I could go into all the
Mm-hmm.
grieving and all the things. But the fact that you even make that choice to acknowledge the holidays. Because I know for some, you just like, we're going to keep moving. I'm not thinking about Christmas. I'm not thinking about, but for you to get up and put a light on your fireplace is a big thing.
Right.
So acknowledge that growth. It may not be a whole Christmas tree this year. It might just be
Mm-hmm.
one light, but you did
They just
something,
one light. Yeah, that's so good.
So the little things, because we're starting today. We're not waiting till January 1st. We don't want to wait until this big cataclysmic thing happens and the year changes. We
Right.
want to start today. So as we're ending, is that again, we could go on forever, but I want to go ahead and wrap it up. We have 12 days of a whole lot of amazing. So make sure you're following every day. But as we're ending today, I did want to have you, Michelle, just say one final thing, I guess, that we should know and kind of consider as we're talking about the growth journey. And then I want you to tell everyone who's listening how they can follow you, find your book, like all your stuff, so that they can follow you.
All my stuff.
All your
Okay.
stuff.
I think the one thing, and we talked about it, is we said grace. I mean, what was the top again in the journey?
Growth in the
Grace,
journey.
growth in the journey.
Yep.
And I think I want to say grace in the journey. Give yourself grace in this journey, and stop being so hard on yourself. Come out of that self-imposed expectation box that you have put yourself in. You are needed, you are loved.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Michelle Small. My website is courageousme.com, and on all social media platforms is courageousme.com.
Mm-hmm.
And my book is called Who's Rowing Your Boat? Building Administrative Teams, and it's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Yep. And I have the book, yeah. So I'm not just sending y'all saying, go get the book, but definitely it's worthy to get, especially if you have teams, but even if you don't have teams, it's worthy to read and kind of, um, what's the word? Meditate on. Um, all right. So courageousme.com. And I know all this stuff, but let me put my notes. Make sure y'all go and follow. Please go and support, get the book. Um, she also has a blog, right? Is
Yes,
it all at Courageous Me?
no, it's called Journey to Me.
Okay. I was like, I
Yeah.
think that's separate, but find the blog as well. Because I think that's a good one to read also. And sorry, we're trying to write and talk at the same time. It's not a good thing. All right. So again, thank y'all for joining us for this particular segment on this 12 days of gracefulness journey, growth in the journey, which is a good topic again, whole lot to it. But at least start that process today. Follow the other days of 12 days of gracefulness, and I will see you next time. All right. Thank y'all.